How one family invented modern banking and controlled Europe, before Wall Street, before central banks, before multinational corporations. There was a family that didn't inherit a throne. They didn't command armies. They didn't wear crowns. They controlled something far more powerful: money. And through money, they controlled Europe. This is the story of the Medici. But more importantly, this is the blueprint of how financial power is built, how it scales, how it dominates, and how it collapses. Because the Medici didn't just build a bank, they built the architecture of modern finance. And if you understand how they did it, you understand how power works today. The world before the Medici. To understand the Medici, you must understand the chaos they were born into. Medieval Europe was fragmented. No unified currencies, no central banking authority, no financial regulation, no stable political systems. Every city had its own coins. Every kingdom had its own rules. Commerce was expanding. Trade routes were reopening. Cities were growing. Trust required liquidity. That is where banking was born. The word bank comes from the Italian word banco, the bench where money changers sat. At first, these bankers simply exchanged currencies. But slowly, something changed. They began accepting deposits, which means you can lend a portion of it. And that is the birth of credit. And credit is leverage, and leverage is power. By the 1300s, Florence had become one of Europe's economic centers. It produced textiles. It minted the gold florin, one of the strongest currencies of the medieval world. It had merchants across Europe. But Florence also had a weakness. Its banks were fragile. When Edward III defaulted, those Florentine banks collapsed. Then came the Black Death, financial crisis, pandemic, political instability. Florence was wounded. And in times of systemic collapse, new players rise. The true architect of Medici power was Giovanni di Bicci. He was not born into dominance, but he was strategic. He understood something crucial. The papacy controlled enormous wealth, tithes, donations, land revenues, political influence across Europe. But the church did not want to openly earn interest. Usury was considered a sin. This created a gap, and Giovanni stepped into it. In 1397, he founded the Medici Bank in Florence, and he built it differently. Not centralized, but modular. Decentralized branches, legally independent, strategically aligned. If one branch failed, the others survived. They mastered the bill of exchange. A merchant could deposit in Florence and withdraw in London. The exchange rate included a hidden margin, not technically interest, but profit. Powerful operators don't break systems, they redesign incentives. When Giovanni died, Cosimo inherited the system. He converted financial capital into political capital. Florence was a republic, but Cosimo became the unofficial ruler. He didn't need a crown, he controlled liquidity. The Medici invested in culture. They financed artists, architects, and scholars. They funded the Renaissance. But this wasn't charity. It was reputation engineering. Modern corporations call this branding. The Medici invented it. But power contains its own seeds of destruction. Lorenzo the Magnificent was brilliant politically, but less disciplined financially. Financial empires collapse when leadership loses operational focus. Power shifts from strategy to survival. What can you extract from the Medici blueprint today? Stable capital first. Decentralize risk, align incentives, control perception. Leadership discipline determines longevity. Subscribe now for more deep dives into the history of power. We no longer live in Renaissance Florence, but the mechanics are identical. Capital flows determine power, the tools evolved. The blueprint did not. Control the structure, and you control the future. Leave a like if you found this valuable.